Good afternoon. Thank you for checking in. This is Glenn Lyvers with Prolific Press. These are some of the best poets around the world that join us every month to read some fine works. So we are going to kick things off here in just a minute with Lynette Esposito. But if you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us on one of the other platforms like my Facebook page, and you want to attend something like this, please contact admin@prolificpress.com. And I'm going to start opening this up to select writers as long as you've been published. But in general, this is by invitation only. So let's get started with Lynette.
Hello, this is Lynette Esposito from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I have 2 haikus that were published in Poetry Quarterly in 2021, and then I have a longer piece. I'm not sure if my intelligence is artificial, so please forgive me if it is. This is an untitled haiku. Small, bright parakeets set free from import boxes, light in the dark trees. Small, bright parakeets set free from import boxes, light in the dark trees. The second one is called The Blue Stone. The blue stone hides what you once were, like the smile that masks my face. I entombed in life, and you in eternal grace. That's it.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
1 minute.
and then I have a long piece. Oops.
Sorry,
I
somebody's
have a
sitting
long
down.
piece.
Go ahead.
This is not serious. Okay, and it's not political. Maybe it is political, but I don't think so. Remember, I said artificial intelligence. It's kind of fuzzy. It's called The Wonderful Dragon on the Flying Trapeze. It was his second job after unemployment ran out. The flying young dragon with the clown orange snout who flew through the air with the greatest of ease, performing a wild, wily dragon striptease. It was winter and cold, and he was so bold as to hang by his wingtips and take fancy dips. The crowd screamed with circus delight until the dragon on the flying trapeze got too close to the food stand and had to sneeze. The pepper and salt caused a terrible uproar with an achoo from tent ceiling to tent dirt floor. And the dragon lost his job of flying through the air and became a fry cook extraordinaire. The legend says his fries were such a delight. They glowed like candles in the early twilight, and his funnel cakes twisted like pretzels on a stick, and all wanted to know his secret dragon trick. He smiled as only a young dragon could, and pulled his chef's hat down like a hood. His eyes were ablaze with knowledge as cook. It's all in the heat of the fire, and not from a book. He smiled a smile with a clothespin on his nose. Nobody knows what a magical dragon knows. That's it.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Eleanor. Good to see you. I want to make clear to the people who are watching this that Lynette did write that. It's not artificial intelligence. She was just making a little joke. Okay, John McMullen, please.
Glenn, could I have screen sharing? I want to show something just at the end of my second poem.
Absolutely. I'll turn it on for everyone.
Okay. The first poem is not like that. Johnny Lou Jack is dead. Johnny Lou Jack is dead at age 98, one of the heroes of my young life. He was a quarterback, an All-American quarterback for Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, New York City's favorite football team, even though they were located in South Bend, Indiana. It was a different time then. Pro football had not yet begun its ascendancy, and No New York area colleges had football teams, but Notre Dame's games were on the radio every Saturday, and they played in Yankee Stadium every year against Army. In a heavily Irish New York, Notre Dame had tremendous fan support, with the many fans known as the Subway alumni. Lou Jack became the quarterback in 1943 when his predecessor Angelo Bertelli went into the armed forces. He played that season and then went into the armed forces himself, not returning until 1946. How difficult must it have been to return from chasing German submarines in the English Channel to play college football? But he did it well, winning the Heisman Trophy in 1947. Then was off to the National Football League, playing for Chicago Bears, setting a single-game passing record in a very short four-year career, cut short by leg injury. He became a coach, then a broadcaster, and then went out of the public view. In my 8-year-old's youth, every time I threw a pass with a football, I was Johnny Blue Jack. New York football fans knew the name Blue Jack just as baseball fans knew the name DiMaggio. And they're both gone. This was the first of 3 poems on the subject. I'm only going to read one, and then I'm going to show a short thing. AI joke gone bad. Last week, I read poems at 3 separate places: Spoken World, Indiana, Mahopac Writers Group, Hudson Valley Writers Center. In each case, I read a poem entitled, "An AI didn't write this poem." At the end of the poem, I admitted that an AI did write the poem, but it turned out many had already broken the code. The poem was rhymed, and they knew that I didn't write rhyme poetry. Oh, well, another scheme gone bad. But what I did do was I said, okay, maybe I can get something like this. So I will tell it to write a rhyme, a non-rhyme poem. And it couldn't do it. I started out saying, I said, do blank verse about whether AI can replace poets. And I said, Adam, well, that didn't work. Now I'll try another one. Write a 12-line, non-rhyme poem in the style of John McMullen. So it said, in the age of innovation, AI's reign, we wonder if poets should feel this pain, and all the way down. So I said, I wrote non-rhymed. That poem rhymed. Then the AI said, my apologies. Here's a 12-line non-rhyme poem, and it all rhymed, bum, 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 all the way down, until it was obvious that the algorithm makes everything rhymed. So I said at the very end, I give up. Well, I didn't give up. I tried one more. I said, write a prose poem in my thing, and it did not rhyme. However, at the end, I said, the same people who know I don't rhyme poetry know I don't write prose poetry, so I give up for good. So thank you for putting up with me.
That's great. And so interesting. And it's also interesting how it's sort of starting to bleed into this kind of stuff. I'm going to put one up. The bonus today was a haiku. I did write an actual poem about a haiku. And a couple of days ago, somebody contacted me, asked to add this to an anthology that they're doing somewhere. Anyway, so it reminded me that I did this, so I thought, well, this will work for the reading. So it's called a haiku in Amsterdam. Between the boathouse and Anne Frank's, I read a favorite haiku over and again until the words have no meaning. I listen to the sounds. I hear the poem as though told by strangers. And when I stop to think it through, the haiku about birds riding southern autumn winds is like sipping of dry, familiar wine over and again, its insistent finish lingering on the palate, the way bells resonate long after they are struck by the hammers of monks. In the Van Gogh Museum, I whisper the haiku to the starry night, and the stars become birds pressed into swirling winds, and I become the face of the north wind, glowing with puckered lips. When I whisper to sunflowers, its seeds become blown birds slowly exploding into a paper sky, a smearing yellow-orange blur suspended in the creamy air, possessing some intangible meaning greater than the words themselves. And long after I leave Amsterdam, the haiku will remain on the wind. It will be twirled by working windmills. It will be the unseen passenger on trains passing through blooming tulip fields. It will be remembered by the red light district whore I bedded. It will undulate forever with her pale body. It will be eaten by cafe diners and scrolled on bathroom walls by mindless travelers who believe they thought of it first. And when I return someday to Amsterdam, I will draw it from the river. I will roll it around in my chops. I will chew on it like a perfect fig, eaten over and again until it is consecrated on my tongue, until it transfigures, forever dissolving like a wafer in my mouth, something placed there by a poet priest, a man immortalized by a haiku. Okay, well, thank you for all the happy. Jenny.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. So my first poem is entitled Souls. Power just went out. No lights in the house. My heart pounds. Still the 5-year-old who wailed if the lamppost went dark, convinced it was the heart of our house, so Dad let it burn all night. I need to get a grip. The sun always rises. Even if I am out of candles and my flashlight has taken a flight to the moon, I'm fine as I was seconds ago, iPhone charging, bulbs glowing. If Dad were here, he'd tell me to stop holding my breath for Pete's sake, referring to the dead mouse we found in our fireplace one autumn. When the small gray body rolled out, I screamed. Dad said, for Pete's sake, this guy deserves a proper send-off. Petrified Pete was so cute in his Kinney's shoebox near the cheerful orange blaze we built, a cotton ball for a pillow. Dad asked Pete's soul some questions. Where are you from? Tunkhannock? Lots of lumbering in those parts. Got a favorite color? I bet you would look regal in purple. Favorite cheese? Swiss? Funny, you strike me as more of a Roquefort man, Pete. 'Twas a fine farewell for our guest, no longer alone and afraid in the dark. And the second poem has a title of Angels. Clayton was slow, our parents said. To us, he was nothing but sweet, full of smiles. Mostly he played with plastic trucks in his backyard dirt. But when we walked to the Church of the Nazarene, Clayton tagged along. We all loved that nearby graveyard behind a church none of us went to. One gnarled tree, easy to climb, birds calling, butterflies floating, stray cats dozing in the sun, ancient headstones, chiseled numbers and names we stuffed with yellow buttercups. We knew about old age, death, funerals, skeletons, didn't care. Clayton's favorite angel stood atop Mr. Harvey Tingle's gravestone. He died in 1897. Tingle's angel had massive wings, unfurled all the way to catch a mighty wind. She stared down at the grave, pity since her home was up. One day, Clayton lay on his back on top of Tingle's grave, squirming around to get a better view, when a minister came outside, told us Clayton didn't know how to act, and that we were no longer welcome. We walked a sobbing Clayton home. His mom saved the day, gave us ice cream sandwiches. This town is full of graveyards, and Clayton, Now that your angel saw your beautiful face, she'll find you wherever you go. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That's nice. I like that when you said though her home was up. That's a great line, because I think it really gives that ability for us as the reader or the observer to understand the persona there, and it's the perspective is very nice. Thank you for that. Mike Flanagan.
Okay, hi, I have two tanka and a haiku. I just write short stuff, so most of them are related to what's happened to me in my life, I guess. The peace lily that I thought was dead is back, suddenly tangling on itself, eager to be alive. The peace lily I thought was dead is back, suddenly tangling on itself, eager to be alive. Downtown St. Paul, a white scarf captured in a zephyr stops to visit each balcony as it slowly returns to earth. Downtown St. Paul, a white scarf captured in a zephyr stops to visit each balcony as it slowly returns to earth. And this little haiku that I did, last cup cold, the teapot we shared, now too many for just one. Last cup cold, the teapot we shared, now one cup too many. I may have changed that in the middle. So that's it, thank you.
Really nice. I don't know if you guys all had the same experience, but that image of the white scarf just really lit up in my head. That was great. That's the beauty of these short pieces with the compression, and just you can import so much of yourself into it, and everybody's white scarf probably looks a little different, but that was fantastic. Thank you, Mike. That was good. Really good. All right, I'm going to read another one, and then Patrice, you'll be on deck after me, okay? So this is a poem that I just wrote this week, and that's not it. Hold on a second. And it was originally titled, "I Hope You Die in a Car Crash." It was a love poem. And it turned into something different. And it's just kind of funny how that happens when you're in the middle of reading something and it takes off on its own. Now it's titled "Nostalgic Turtles." Have you stopped, as I have, to think deeply about how our pleasant world is changing, and how the nightly news is no longer news, more like a PTSD sandwich on cold bread? And always there are rotations of people knocking at our windows and doors, insisting we tune in, subscribe, and listen. Even more shocking news in the next segment. And they are great at beating you down, swinging their words like a 10-pound hammer, crushing what's left of your pale heart. They boldly profit from your pain. And I've come to understand this much, that I have, from the instinct of self-preservation, hammered back my bruises from the inside into a hardened shell, so that very little slips in, neither politics nor violence, nor the tragic accident some poor soul had today in some faraway, unlucky place I will never visit, though poetry is allowed in. And if you are, like I am, a thoughtful lover of words fashioned and caressed into delicate prose, then you understand how it is that we must write to defend against the pounding world, and how grateful we are that other poetical hearts allow our words to slip gently past their shells. And for that we extend our poems like roses, a gift I have for you, because you too are a kindred soldier doing battle against the unhappy hammerings of the world, yearning for the quiet, white space between words. Call it holy ground, a place where we can reach out of our shells like grateful turtles touching poetical fingers, sharing more honest moments the way things used to be.
I think you're muted, Glenn.
Oh, sorry about that. Onward to Patrice Wilson, please.
Hello from Hawaii. It's been a while. I'm glad to see all of you.
Good to see
Glad.
you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I have one poem that I wrote recently about a story that I did see on the nightly news, but it was a very touching story, I thought. So, in response to some good news is a sort of a working title. In response to some good news, we all want this, some kind of connection, communion, union, permanent sharing. But when nature rebels and twin girls are, God forbid, conjoined at birth, our heart wrenches, pains for their freedom to live the liberties of separateness, what we need first in order to be full solitudes that touch into union. And then these girls, unshackled by some kind of modern man-made medical answer to prayer, amazement, which is hope, fulfilled, flows down in tears while the future smiles on their coming years. In these dark days of sad, sad stories, we come away with something glowing, an inkling that maybe changing means growth into more perfect unions beyond what we now know. And let's see. I think this is one that was recently published. I think it was late last year. And it's not a new poem, but I hadn't had it published yet. So, and this was published in a magazine called Thimble. It's called Storm Windows. And this is actually set in New Jersey where I grew up. Storm windows. Chill became frost. Green screens that had let summer into the house. Its daytime breezes, its nighttime zephyrs became no hindrance to impending icy climate. Dad brought down from the attic tall, hefty windows he had to balance, bending through every bedroom pane with each heavy load, hooking them onto the outside wall above each empty opening. For the first floor, he could use a ladder on the lawn. For the front porch and living room, he could simply hook them on. But not up here on the second floor, where everyone slept cozier for his precarious work. Yet whatever of love he mixed with burden I never knew, as he heaved such weight above 3 stories of wood and plaster and paint, where he had sired 3 girls who kept out of the way of his terse remarks, harsh words slapping us in the face. Dad, we have since moved so very far from the circle of snowdrifts around the home I never wanted to leave, not knowing then and you not knowing how thoroughly you were blocking out so much more than the stark stoic ravages of bitter cold. Thank you.
Very well done. Very nice. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Patrice, we miss you when you're not here. Hope that you come back again next month. Peter Uremko. Okay, thank you. Peter Uremko.
Here I am. Okay.
There you are.
My first poem also features a turtle. It's Turtle Day today. It's called Cape Cod Bay, November. Her songbirds of summer are long gone, all of them, all of a sudden, she as well. Only blue jays remain to strain against the muted air, the jeering sentries of undisturbed November. Coyotes claim the vacated roads for passage now, as do skinny foxes and trundling raccoons. Ridley turtles, though, linger overlong in warm bay waters, oblivious to the fatal clench of lurking winter's cold stun. Unless you flee, my dears, you'll soon sink to deepest sleep, leaving the complaining jays to give her voice. And the other poem also takes place on a beach. It's called Pretty Rich Girls. 3 of them sit hip to bikinied hip on the cooling sand, hoping, these pretty rich girls, for a pretty sunset that won't happen today because the sky is clotted cream. They talk of boys mostly, of he says and she says, except they're making it up, playing at dolls still. But they are young and life is fine and they don't worry about a thing.
That's great. I wonder if how many young people know that we collectively, many of us that are beyond that time of our life, we think about, wouldn't it be nice to just be that again for a day? To get up and not hurt, and you run around and do stuff. That'd be great. That's really nice. Okay, Emily.
Hi, I'm here. My name is Emily. I live in rural Oregon. And I'm going to try to share my screen. I have no haiku. I have 2 poems that are very recent on the same sort of topic and at the same location. And I don't know, perhaps you can put in the chat. I like the first one better. I like the second one better. Let me see if I can share my screen. All right, let's do this one first. Share. All right. Mischief. An unsuspecting animal could die in this canyon. Damp stream bed choked with willows and wild roses. Steep slopes with oaks and pines, bushes, grass, dry duff, volcanic erratics, deer trails, old flowers. A small creature could drown, fall into a hole, overheat and dehydrate, get caught on brambles, attract a snake, screech owl or coyote, wander a road where logging trucks roar by. There are a dozen ways to die naturally, part of the food system and the human system too. A hidden culvert, irrigation ditch, harrow, electric fence. Instead, the kitten hid in a storage bin, in the warm dark, next to cans of vegetables, stayed quiet for 2 days, resigned to its fate, finally emerged, smelling of urine, weak but alive, ready for a bath, food, and mischief. Okay, here's the other one. Evening chill. A narrow canyon, rocky western slope, wooded east slope. Occasional stream choked with willows and wild roses, impassable. A dirt road rises steeply to timber reserves, logged for a small mill below. Trucks roar recklessly up and down. The last load at 4 p.m., then still, quiet of late day. The sun leaves only shadows by 5. The air immediately cool and fresh. Nothing stirs, no light or moon, nobody passes. Hidden in a dry glade, a woman sits alone, waits for nothing, silent, staring at the far canyon wall, sips a little water, slices a tomato for dinner, her mind drifting elsewhere. She calls it back to the insects, dust, evening chill, finally wraps in flannel.
Thank you for that. I don't know if you intended the second poem to be on the screen. It wasn't for me. It was still showing the first one.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I really enjoyed that second piece, and I think it ended really strong. Not so sure the double F on flannel, I think could have drawn back on that a little, but really good. The first piece had all these like objects or these details, and when you first start going through, it's like a list, but then all of a sudden your brain starts putting that all together, and you get this sense of something greater, how they are all interconnected, and I really like that. Anybody else? Yeah. So you guys are all welcome to unmute if you ever want to in between poems. And
I was so worried about the kitten.
yeah.
Thank you for letting the kitten live. No, it was very rich. Your images all knit together, and then at the very end, emerging with the smell of urine, wheat, but ready to go.
That was good. Okay. Edward Ahern, please.
Okay. I just recently had a couple more poetry books published, which is great. And I thought, now what the hell do I do for an encore? And I started rummaging around the list of poems, and it occurred to me that probably at least a quarter of them are either sardonic or sarcastic, depending on your viewpoint. So I thought, well, why not put them together? So I scooped up a double handful, and they are, just like I said, sardonic or sarcastic. And the tentative working title is going to be Pickle Verse, Half Sour Humor. So these are two from that. They're recent, so they haven't been published yet. This one is called The Company Kept, which hopefully you can see. I'm fond of myself. There, it's said. Viewing myself favorably, I should be able to gratifyingly self-amuse, which I can more often than not. But knowing myself all too well, I yearn for the missing surprises. And so, suffering from ennui, I risk the boredom of others. And the second one is kind of a metaverse on poetry. It's called Truffles. There are, I suspect, more poets than poetry readers, and many more bad poets than good ones, and far more redundant themes than original ones, and more pretensions than probity. So why the hell am I writing poetry? To try and pig snout my way into word truffles. That's it.
Thank you for sharing that. That was great. All right. What can I come up with? Pig truffles and things like that. I don't know. It's never quite there. James Bethel, please.
I had to hunt for the mute button. There we go. This first one is entitled Gin. And I'm not sure why it's called that. It may have been the substance I was consuming at the time I wrote it. At any rate, the eternal dawns of the 4th of July gather under northern lights to watch Norma America deal an expatriated game of solitaire. A deuce bluffs the tradition of aces and kings, playing each hand as it's dealt. Jokers weigh options again, like the dream of a perfect Libra with no hole card, wherein Freedom Hot Blood Jr. washes socks in a pool filled with mosquitoes. As cool breezes dance with glass palms amidst those torrents by now familiar to constant change, eroding away the bridges to the past, leaving ruts we've seen before in the future of some other Jack of Hearts. Shuffled and cut, the cards dealt again and again, sustained by some odd faith in the myth of winners and losers, drawing for a full house from the unlikely beginnings of two of a kind. The metric score sheet charts the odds, and spades turn up diamonds from graves dug for those who spent them in clubs, forgetting that the heart is the eternal trump. Thank you, thank you. My friend Sally is going to forgive me, I hope, because I refer to her in this poem. And it's entitled, Considering My Friend Sally. Considering my friend Sally, who loves dogs and cats and critters so much she volunteers to care sit for them for free, whilst their wealthy owners, nasty term that, take leave of their often ocean view condo senses to run off to Paris or Las Vegas or some other casino motel in the desert. My friend Sally and I were friends long ago, and then we weren't. And now again we are, blessed with age and distance, and with the recognition that we have never been not connected. And a little haiku thing, floating around in what I call collected in progress poems. Grass songs. Razor's edge of thought. Language dances to its tune. Wind in the grass sings. Grass song. Razor's edge of thought. Language dances to its tune. Wind in the grass sings. Thank you, guys.
So strong today. Very, very nice.
Glad
It's a
I'm
good group. This is a great group. You know, I'm so blessed to have all you here to get to engage in this. Sean O'Connor.
Hello, everybody from Orlando, as they say in Europe. Orlando, no. Thank you for having me. As it happens, a few hours ago on a Saturday, this arrived in the post, and it's not even officially published yet. It's my latest book called A Patch of Earth, and the picture on the front, I know you can't make it up, that's actually my father's grave, believe it or not. And it looks like we buried him in a field, but I'd like to reassure you that there is a cemetery around. When you turn the camera the other way, you can see the cemetery. So it's called A Patch of Earth, and just put myself back in gallery, and I'll read. It's a collection of haibun, tanka, and haiku. So I'll read a tanka and a haiku, and start with a haibun. I'm a bit muddled here. So this haibun from this about my father's grave is called In Our DNA, and it opens and closes with a haiku. It's one of those haibun. So this is called In Our DNA. Cold at his grave, wind from the mountains, it too passes by. There was this thing on the telly last night about the war, the one I told you about, you know, the war that started the month after you died. Anyway, the reporter was talking about how there are thousands of dead people and no one knows who they are. So these teams of scientists, I suppose, are working day and night doing DNA tests on these corpses. and on families whose loved ones are missing, you know, looking for matches so the dead can be buried properly. And it made me realize how lucky we are, you know, the way you died, the way it was so peaceful and kindly, and you were comfortable, and we were together, and the surroundings, the way the staff made it, and the singing, the candles, the anointment by the priest the day before, all of it culminating in your last breath. I'm grateful for all of that, and I'm grateful to you too for showing me how to die. Over Dad's grave, though they did not move, the clouds are gone. Thank you very much. And this is a tanka from the same book. Do I read these twice, Glenn? Tankas, yeah. Okay. Last snowflakes settle. A mountain stag's plume of breath, soundlessly swelling. Can you hear it through the earth? My father's bones are singing. Last snowflakes settle. A mountain stag's plume of breath, soundlessly swelling. Can you hear it through the earth? My father's bones are singing. And this haiku I'll finish on is, it's actually the title of the book comes from this haiku, and this haiku came second in a haiku competition with the Haiku Society of America, which was a nice surprise. It is this. I'll read this twice as well. Nights drawing in, wondering how Dad is in his patch of earth. Nights drawing in, wondering how Dad is in his patch of earth.
Wow, I got to tell you that, especially that first one, so good and so, oh boy, that really hit me. Would encourage you to go to the Facebook page and put that on after I post this, put the link to your book as soon as it comes out. Please don't offer to send me a free copy. I know how generous you are. I would be very happy to buy that book. And wow, just fantastic. And I love this, how personal the images on the front and everything. So just know that, we love you, buddy. Your work is always so strong and so touching. Mary Gunn.
Thank you.
I think that's Mary down there on the phone.
Yeah, hello everybody. You'll have to imagine me waving at you. It's a bit of a challenge having to read after that wonderful work that Sean read, but I have a couple of poems with summary theme. Just a second, now I have them. A Word document. Okay, I have them back now. The first one is a 6-line poem called Teresa, and it goes like this. Blackberries. We picked them from the hedgerows in the Irish countryside. Now, living in the city, I get them with air miles from Guatemala. Will I read that a second time?
Please.
Blackberries. We picked them from the hedgerows in the Irish countryside. Now, living in the city, I get them with air miles from Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
My second one is a haiku. It's a 575 haiku. The swans swim away as another cruiser nears childhood home. Swans swim away as another cruiser nears childhood home. Both of those were published in 2 different journals in the UK. And I have a third one for later if you want that.
Yes, please.
Oh, you want it now, do you?
Sure, why not?
Oh, I thought we were to keep the third one for later. Okay, I have a choice of 2. Which one will I'll read this one.
I just can't wait. I can't wait.
hang on. Since Swithin's Day, only the insomniacs know it rained. Since Swithin's Day, only the insomniacs know it rained. Do I need to explain who St. Swithin was? Or
Sure.
do you know
I think that would be nice
do you know
because
that legend in America? Sorry?
I think that would be nice for a lot of people watch these. Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. St. Swithin was an English bishop. He was he died back around, I think it was 862, and he wanted to be buried in the graveyard where the parishioners would be walking past him rather than in the church. What he said at the time was he wanted to be buried where the soft rains of heaven may fall upon my grave. I took that quote off the internet, by the way. But at some stage they moved his remains inside the church and built a shrine to him. And on that night, there was an enormous storm which lasted for several weeks. So the legend goes that St. Swithin cast a spell that if it rained on St. Swithin's Day, then it would rain for 40 days. And if there was sun on St. Swithin's Day, it would be sunny for 40 days. And it's something that's talked about a lot. It comes up every single year at this time of year. And at the present time, we've been deluged with rain. Oh, I forgot to mention, St. Swithin's Day is on the 15th of July. And this year we have had a deluge of rain since the 15th. So whether it's true or not, I don't know, but that's the legend.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. That's so nice. I learned something new too. So
Actually, there was a 4-line poem when I went looking up. I had to look up when exactly St. Swithin's Day was before your poetry reading this evening. So I found this 4-line poem about St. Swithin's Day on the internet. St. Swithin's Day, if it does rain, full 40 days it will remain. St. Swithin's Day, if it be fair, for 40 days 'twill rain no more. And I don't know who wrote that. There was no credits with it, but I thought it was interesting.
a lot of those neat ones. There's an untitled piece my dad used to say. It is a rule that man's a fool, for when it's hot, he wants it cool, and when it's cool, he wants it hot, and what it is, he wants it not. Weather poems can't shake a stick at them. Okay, Jack Hoffman, please. Zach.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, I have 2 poems. First one is called 70 Love. When I was young, my reputation was that kid is really good, sharp and bold and fleet of foot with a racket made of wood. I used to run onto the court with shoes and shorts and shirt, and now I spend some extra time on places where it hurts. A band for this, a wrap for that, injuries yet unseen, braces cover both my knees, made from neoprene. I shuffle here, I shuffle there. There isn't that much left. Strategy now is the lob, scrambling to reset. But when I toss the ball just right and reach behind me while in flight, then sling my racket toward the tee with maximum velocity, they see the ball, they move, they try, but it just goes on whizzing by. My satisfaction is on their face, the devastation of the ace. This next poem is called Endless. January snow crusts the blue canvas tarps. Motionless in daylight, occupants scattered, leaving an instant village of blithe, litter, and feces. Easier to be a victim of poverty and addiction. Motionless in daylight, occupants have scattered. Blocks away by concrete off-ramps, he holds a cardboard sign. Easier to be a victim as he scribbles the word help. Gaunt, discarded union worker, heroin. By the concrete off-ramp, he holds a cardboard sign. After 4 hours, he has found his fix. Gaunt, discarded union worker scoring heroin, gingerly stepping back to camp on a carpet of syringes. After 4 hours, he has settled in for injection. A mud puddle turns his favorite leather jacket into garbage. Gingerly, his hand to the floor, adding to the carpet of syringes. Darkness voices motion and dread of night. Searching for a favorite leather jacket in the garbage, he finds a victim of poverty and addiction. Hep C sits in a chair and casually nods at death in a village of snow-crusted blue canvas tarps.
That was really, really strong. Thank you for that. Did you have a haiku also or no? Not
No.
today. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Zach. That was nice. Linda Embler, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and boy, is it hot here. I don't normally read haiku. I don't normally write haiku, but I do have a couple that I submitted to Pure Haiku with Freya Picard, who's the editor over the last 3 years. And they're all 575 haikus. And I thought I'd read all 3 of them and kind of test the waters on what you guys think. First one is called Volcano. Rivers of color shroud the heights like Joseph's coat, slip down Mount's shoulders. Rivers of color shroud the heights like Joseph's coat, slip down Mount's shoulders. The second one is called Clock. Chasing life's tempos, the clock sends us messages, tells us we tick old. Chasing life's tempos, the clock sends us messages, tells us we tick old. And the last one is called Fern. Nature's vellum book unscrolls as you read each line, each tangent explored. Nature's vellum book unscrolls as you read each line, each tangent explored. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely wonderful. You should write more of those short forms. I think you're good at it.
Well, thank you.
I enjoyed it
Thank you.
for sure. Carol Casey, please.
Okay, hi, can you, I guess, am I unmuted? Yeah.
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay,
Welcome.
hi. For a while, I've been busy with sorts of things. One of them is to do with grandparenting, and that's my first poem. I just have 2 poems, no haiku. And it's called, I was blessed to be at the birth of my 3rd grandchild. So this is called Wet. Little wet, ragged one, pulled from water, from warm dreams of water, from umbilical streams and sweet flows and subterranean thrums and susurrus. No word cups to snare, all is flow, all is the sanctum of soft, silky whole. Then squeeze to void, squeeze to clamor, squeeze to vast, to fire in lungs, jagged chill, lost to glare, to coarse cloth, rubs to cold squalls, shivers skin, mouth, nipple, arms, warmth. Sup, sup, sigh. And the second one is called Do You Remember? I'll just start it. Dandelion crown of parachute wishes, each one a world, a womb, light as breeze, light as breath, granting enchantment, percolating potential. Dark oval orbs with glistening aerials, caught in geodesic light, waiting for breath, waiting to breathe into fragments of fairy, lingering lightly. Holding a moment like a gem, like a spell, bound, almost tangible, not grasped, just gentled into flight. Ah, the power of air, of expanse expanding. A little one feels so big, so magical, so mystically transported to futures. One future brings back the past, brings back the child. Do you remember?
Thank you for that. Mellifluous. Okay, excellent. Let's go on to Francis Flavin, please.
Greetings from Nevada, everyone.
Hi,
That's
France.
there's a lot of family behind the door there. So if any youthful or canine exuberance sifts through, I apologize.
We'll forgive you.
I have two sort of seasonal poems. The first one is called Camp. Darkness came without warning, sneaking in around the edges, sifting through the aspens and pines. The campfire holds it at bay. There is no menace there, just a cloak to mask the hard edges of the day. The flames play the shadows, a silent song, to dance among the trees. As the fire fades, the darkness closes to embrace the embers. A long sigh and night falls. The second one is a little more lighter vein. Palm Springs Saturday. Wrapped in solemn piety, the Orthodox Jews in their fur hats are oblivious to the heat. At the pool, the aged sacrifice their pterodactyl hides to the sun. Besieged by alligators, I slip into denial behind a potted palm. A Monet impression of my grizzled mug shimmers on a nearby window. The adjacent grill wafts bacon and hunger on the breeze. Thirsty flies attack the saliva at the corners of my mouth. Old farts rocket by in their late life Porsches and Beamers. I want one. And the last one is, it's not a haiku, but it is short. White world turning dark, an inkling of trees lost. White world turning dark, an inkling of trees lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nicely done. Enjoyable for sure. All right. So let me tell you guys the order that we're proceeding so that everybody can be ready. The next up will be James, Nicola, then KB Ballantyne, Bob Moreland, Chris Wood, Jessica Dawson, Elizabeth, Robert Whalen, and Alexandra Coates tried to get in and didn't make it. If you watch this video, Alexandra, we miss you and hope that you try again soon. So moving on here to James. James Nicola, please.
Yes, hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here. This just came out yesterday and it's called Natural Tendencies. I don't know if you can see it, but I put a link with a picture of it in the chat for you if you wish. And I'm going to read through, there it is. I can see it. I'm going to read 3 poems from this very book here, the first event that I'm reading from it for a reading. So it's very special. I'm going to start with a haiku to go in chronological order. I've reigned enough, and now that it's spring, have become grass, trees, wildflowers. I've reigned enough, and now that it's spring, have become grass, trees, wildflowers. The second one is a sonnet. You might not be able to tell. That's what I'm telling you, so you can count to 14. It's called Purple Orange. I got to change my glasses to my reading glasses instead of my computer glasses. I had them ready to do that. There we go. Purple Orange. They loved each other so, but he was made of purple, she of orange. Persimmon, peach, and rust convinced her, he is not your shade, while puce and lilac lectured him, to each his own, and introduced purple to red and blue, whom he did see a while, or tried. Still loving orange from afar, he said, to please my friends, I guess. And then he died. You've seen the rest in sunsets, autumn leaves, and in the depths of blossoms. Purple and orange are found united, little bits of one throughout the other. Nature grieves in remedies designed as love had planned, forever intermingling opposites. Thanks for the shaking of hands. And this is the last one, not a sonnet or a haiku, but a true story. I found a stick, is what it's called. I found a stick, a perfect stick. I must have been 8, 9, in our backwoods. Perfect as what I later learned were called shillelaghs, imposing branches picked, trimmed and rented or sold by bearded men at bases of holy mounts like Croagh Patrick. This one needed no trimming of renegade shoots, nor sanding of knots, but lay in nature a most apt staff for someone my height, the height of 8 or 9. I can say now I loved that stick, though not in the same way I loved peanut butter, family, friends, you, or my cat. But only now can I say that. Back then, I had to keep my head screwed tight as the world grew screwier and screwier. Besides, I was not so obsessed that I kept it under my bed at night, though, yes, in a prized raised spot in our back shed. It was fine. Nor did I take it with me everywhere like Mary with her lamb, but certainly out playing in the woods just about daily that summer, and certainly for neighborhood benedictions of sorts, but not for touch football, for instance. What good would it have been? Straight, smooth, it came to here, a small man's cane, a little tinge of graying in the grain. It glistened. Then the day that you know who cracked it in two, I did not cry. Who would have cared or listened? Of course, I knew that it was just a stick, but also that there was no other stick quite like it in the world. It was my stick with which I could and did perform magic when I was young. And of a certain mind I've been unable ever since to find. Thanks so much, everybody, and God bless you. It's good to see you again.
That was great. Oh boy, to be so excited about a stick again. Wouldn't that be something?
And
I grew
aren't
up
you when you're 8 and
hunting
9?
fishing. Oh man, I can't. Absolutely. I grew up hunting and fishing and go out in the woods and you just find that perfect stick, It is just fantastic. That was great. I mean, I brought so much to that of my own. It's just great.
There's
Thank
the
you for
book.
that, James.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, James. KB, one of my favorites. There she is.
Hey, hi guys. So good to
Hi.
see you again.
Good to see you.
This poem just came out in HopeWorks Dragonfly Arts Magazine, and it's called Without Asylum, 1981. Throwing it back. Without Asylum. We laughed into the dark kitchen, coming home one night, still licking salt and butter from our fingers, debating possibilities of Indiana Jones finding the Ark. Just Mom and me, Dad still working out of town. Heading upstairs to bed, Mom pushed me backwards, hand over my chest like we were in a car about to crash. I didn't know what she was doing, why she wouldn't speak, only knew something was wrong as she backed us out the side door to the driveway, stumbled to the neighbors for his phone. What I didn't see then was the front jamb, splintered, door leaning into the stairwell. Radio, records, television, all gone. Just empty spaces, strangers' words smeared across the walls, the music and voice of our family silenced, like my trust in coming home, believing it safe. How do you live with fear? when violation contaminates your core, infests your privacy, renders everything untouchable, when invaders have cracked the heart of your home, exchanging a husk for your heart. And this is I guess it's probably more of a senru than a haiku, but it was written on July 4th. Night skies light up with sizzle and spark, veterans shaking in the dark. Night skies light up with sizzle and spark, veterans shaking in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you. That's sad. Okay, Bob Moreland, please.
Well, greetings from Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. We've had a bad storm and we're in a power outage, so I'm hoping my batteries hold out. 2 sonnets and a surprise haiku. Stroke of midnight for my mother, Louisiana pastor's wife of 50 years. The picture stares back of happier times, sepia tones, thin young groom, his bride beams. In her bed tries to make sense of the chimes. She puzzles why it is not as it seems. Sunrise, red daylight spills over twin bed. Her soulmate gone, makes us a new place where pain resonates harsh, deep in aged head. Life ebbs, brushes away gray locks of hair. He bows, reaching across the brilliant void, puzzled only a moment, if that long. White linen gown, she curtsies, waltz enjoyed, freed from sordid earth's bonds, 2 souls, 1 song. Her body cocoon held her for a while, found this morning her face blessed with a smile. Thank you. And got to find it. Here we go. Creativity. Searing heat radiates, distorting the air in invisible ways. Soil cracks and curls brown potato chip-like until sheets flare and disintegrate, blown by wind that hurls the thoughts and memories of simple words away. Creative hopes rise wispy, bound into cumulus, boiling alive. Birds soar on afternoon thermals they found. Darkened destruction bills, lightning strobes, thunder rattles bones. The first drops pelt. Dark spots which quickly dissipate, bringing life into thoughts long dormant but felt. Capricious muse bestows this verse, new rain flow through the poet's heart again. Thank you. And last, the surprise haiku. This is titled Tenacity. Large green apple leaf moving steadily forward, powered by an ant. So, to do it again, large green apple leaf moving steadily forward, powered by an ant. Thank you all.
Thank you. Very nice. Yeah, this was just a really great event. It's not over yet. Chris Wood, please.
Hi, these are two poems that will be published in Salvation South tomorrow. The first one's called Canning. Pickle juice simmering on the stove perfumes the kitchen. Late summer cucumbers and beets, sliced and quartered, fill all available bowls. Jars, lids, and bands, sanitized and ready to be filled. The television blares the life of penguins, and I search my memory for winter. That day in April when 4 inches of snow suffused the parking lot at my high school, my fingers numb and raw from scraping the windshield. They didn't close school in those days. We just plowed through. The timer dings. I pull jars of dill pickles from the water bath, line them on the cooling rack, lost in yesterday's kitchen when Mom canned freshly picked green beans and Dad harvested honey from our hives. I can still hear the bees humming. This one's called Recipe for a Home-Cooked Meal. Gather corn from the field just after the rooster crows. Shuck and pile high on the counter. Wash and desilk. Cut the top of each kernel and scrape the pulp into a large roasting pan. Spoon the cream corn into pint jars. Add a teaspoon of salt. Seal with a lid and band. Cook in canner for 1.5 hours at 10 pounds pressure. Line each jar on the cooling rack for 24 hours before placing sealed pints in the pantry. For supper, simmer green beans with an onion and salt in the crock pot all day. Boil and mash Yukon Gold potatoes and open a jar of cream corn. Add 2 teaspoons of sugar, a dash of pepper, and a dollop of butter. Heat over medium. Arrange the cooked food in Grandma's bowls on the dining room table between the everyday dishes. Bake rolls golden brown and add the rooster that woke you this morning, quartered and fried. And the haiku I have was actually published in Haiku Journal, issue 64 in August of 2019. It's Open Road Stretching. Sunshine paled by dark lenses, the spice of freedom. Open road stretching, sunshine paled by dark lenses, the spice of freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. I like the little touches in that recipe poem where it's like among the ordinary dishes, or those little things like that. I don't know, creates an undulation for the reader, right, where they're able to fall into the family table and then come back out into the wider view. It's really nice. Good job on that. Jessica Dawson, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm really nervous today. I think I was going to try to read a poem that was published last year on Agape Review, Somewhere in Your Garden. Oh my Lord, there are multitudes of flowers growing in the midst of your garden, with bright colors all pleading to be seen with your eyes as you walk through rows of chrysanthemums and peonies. But as for me, I'm a dandelion in the way, in the path. I am the wildflower flailing in a beautiful chaos upon winds rolling over the valleys, sometimes in light, sometimes in shadow. Oh my Lord, there are multitudes of birds singing in the midst of your garden, with loud voices all pleading to be heard as your ears are attuned to the sounds of cisterns of prayer But as for me, I am the fallen eagle in the way, in the path. I am the loon calling from still waters as the light falls around me. Sometimes I see my reflection. Sometimes I see yours.
Wonderful. Just beautiful. That sister in the prayers, isn't that nice?
My childhood friend's sister died unexpectedly last year, and I couldn't go to, I'm disabled and I couldn't go to the funeral. And so I wrote this during the funeral, thinking about my friend and thinking about her sister. How do I unshare the screen?
I can do it like that.
Okay, and so do I do 1 or 2 haiku?
Yeah, you can do 2 if you like. Sure.
Okay. This was published in Lyrical Passion Poetry Ezine. Gentle winds, gathering lost sheep in the sky. Gentle winds, gathering lost sheep in the sky. And this one was next one is in the Journal of Arts and Letters. Rushing waters, today the river speaks a little louder. Rushing waters, today the river speaks a little louder.
So nice. So, have no idea why you're nervous because you are spectacular. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. You are always welcome.
Thank you. I've been very sick since January, and it was a huge leap of faith to join today. And I keep every time I get the email to join the group, I think, oh, I'm not ready, I'm not well enough. And today I thought, you know what, if this keeps going on, I'm never going to know. So I just joined.
Well, it was fantastic. And by the way, look, if it's any comfort to you, you can reach out to me and I can put you first, or I can say whatever works for you. I can put you at the end, if you're having a moment, whatever you need. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, Elizabeth. Don't know if she's still here anymore. I don't think so. Robert Whalen, are you still here?
I think so.
Just a little bit? You're mostly here?
I'm mostly here. When I have too big a meal, I eat dessert first. So I'm going to start with my haiku. Okay. Eclipsed by a lily pad, obscured in the shadow, sunfish. Eclipsed by a lily pad, obscured in the shadow, sunfish. And folks have been reading sonnets, so I'll read one, but I'm going to do this one first. It's called Niagara. Frozen in a moment, my 2 youngest children stand apart, lean on the fence before the falls. Water thunders in the background, washing away time. Crashing into a gorge, separating countries, draining one inland sea into another. This photo of my daughter smiling, son scowling, indicating a disconnection in that place and time. I had collected them at dawn from their mother's house. It would be a 7-hour drive, too long for them to sit still in one place. It seemed merciful to let them sleep through most of it. allowing an awakening to a different horizon of farms and forests of upstate New York. Red barns and furrowed fields, awaiting the sprouting of spring, and the forest of evergreen centuries guarding this entry into other worlds. We met and crossed some flat land, emerged into a worn-out city. Dingy buildings, asphalt parking lots, shuttle buses transported us to a park with trampled grasses and shops painted in carnival colors. High prices, low quality, betraying the marvelousness of the about to be seen. We were on the American side and wouldn't be able to cross the Peace Bridge. Written permission of both parents is a requirement of joint custody arrangements. Their mother wouldn't agree to it. Nevertheless, we still had a long walk ahead of us. A tourist trolley seemed the best solution. We boarded a packed tram, which also carried a good-natured drunk. He sang and laughed too loudly. Other passengers complained. The vehicle stopped to wait for police to arrive and crash into the pavement. They wordlessly manhandled him to cuff him and drag him away. The snapshot was shortly after that incident, each of them handling it as they would cope with life's other conflicts and the unnecessary violence of differences. She with a boundless optimism of denial and a smile, he with the sullenness of eyes that had seen too much and taught him to close up and keep his distance. And the last one is a sonnet that also talks about DNA. It's called Bylines, and by is spelled B-Y-E. At the end of all these words, I place my name, as if that really matters. I'm known. Should my ego seek the glittering of fame? Should a farmer sign the seeds that he has sown? The leaves fall bearing signatures of trees. Might a snake profess to own the skin it shed? May the eye own every image that it sees? Is the body named long after it is dead? Must identity attach to what I say? Should my offspring recognize I've walked this earth? Is this need embedded in my DNA as the sin of pride imprinted at my birth? In the end, it seems these questions are absurd. A name is just some other dust of words. Thank you.
What a fantastic finish for that. And there is that. There's something there, isn't there? Something about that, putting your name on something and kind of wondering, what does that mean? What am I doing with that? Why do I do? I mean, the charitable part of you thinks, well, it makes it easier for other people to steal it and use it if they want to, and to feel guilt-free. You could think about it that way, right? But on the other hand, it's kind of like, hey, you know what? This is what I do. I want people to know it's me. That's really great. Looks like somebody's trying to get in. Maybe we might have one more reader here. It's probably Len Carver. Len, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself? Oh, hold on there a second. Let's try it this way.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Not great. I actually took some new medication last night. It knocked me out. Sorry about that. I missed. How you doing? I haven't seen you or talked to you for a while. I mean,
We're all doing great. We're all waiting to hear you. We decided collectively before we let you in the room that you would be next.
Oh, thank you. Can I ask? I haven't heard. Is PQ coming back and the publishing? I haven't seen anything.
Stick around after the chat. We'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, sure.
But of course, this is recorded. It's out there for everybody. And actually, we just finished the last reader, so we'd love to hear from you. On the more serious side, it would be your turn.
Oh, okay. All right. I did there again. Okay. This is from my third book. The publisher came out with it in December. It's called Soul Songs. Is that?
Oh, thank you.
Soul Songs. Is that even showing?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about this, everybody. I'm using a handheld phone, and I'm not great with technology. I'll read a poem called Transcendence. Transcendence is eating a peach, feeling the sun's rays on your neck, seeing an old friend after a long parting, watching a movie you love and have seen more times than you can recall, calling your partner in life to say, I'll be home soon. Hearing of the death of the teacher who gave air and light and hunger to your mind. Remember your memories like beloved dreams, calling out to the soul who knows your soul, writing a poem and reading a poem. You wanted two poems, or?
Yeah, you're welcome to do two and a haiku if you'd like.
Okay. This one is called What Poetry Is. What poetry is magic, and words appear and disappear in profound meaning. What magic is God. Freud and Moses both agree. God is magic, and magical is our creator. He disappears and then reappears in meaning deep as death. What God is creation. It's going on every day, everywhere. Think about it. Explain otherwise, fire and seed. What creation is poetry. An infant wakes, thousands perish, a girl smiles, wars rage, a skyscraper grows. All beings themselves are poems, bad poems or beautiful ones, poems of evil or poems of holiness, blank verse or lyrical rhymes, but all creatures live poetry. What poetry is magic, is creation, is God, is you, is I, is life, is death, is infinity, and then some. Okay.
Very nice. Thank you.
Haiku, I don't have a haiku already. But if I
That's
could
okay.
quickly give a plug for in the book. This I thought was a remark of the publisher. It's Cyberwit. He let me. It's published in India. He let me include in the after the 60 poems a little prose mini memoir I wrote about 52 years ago when I had a near-death experience. Frankly, because I had suffered a clinical depression, and I tried to take my life by jumping into the Winooski River in Vermont, which was on the news a few weeks ago for flooding. I went in that river as an atheist or agnostic, thinking this is the only world. Came out of it knowing there's a vastly more to this, and that we exist, well, always, forever. It's called the Day I Remember My Soul, and I just thought it was nice that he let me put that into the book, and I try to get it out there because I think today, especially the young, but the world is getting ever more secular and frankly ever more dangerous than it's been, I think, in history, certainly in my lifetime. And I lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis at 15. So, okay. And anyway, thank you very much, Glenn. It's good seeing you. You look good.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for coming. If you want to stick around afterwards and talk for a few minutes, I'm going to stay for a few minutes, answer any questions that you might have. But definitely go to the Facebook page after I post this, put links to your books, to your groups, to your journals, comments. It's my, I just love all the interactions. What a beautiful group today. Just such strong work. Thank you guys. I'm just so always impressed. So until next month, when we meet again. Let me shut off the recording.